Well, howdy everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama, baby. So, I'm back for another Have Your Say video.
No, you made the wrong decision!
And this is for season 18, episodes 10, 11, and 12. Yes, I know, I'm very behind. So today I'm going to be recapping what happened in the episodes, going through the results of the Have Your Say poll, where you at home voted on if you agreed with the outcome of the episodes. And I'll be talking about a little bit of drama unrelated to season 18 to do with Jorgeous being accused of disrespecting fans and cancelling gigs. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Okay, so because there's so much to get through, I am going to have to kind of skip over episodes 10 and 11 and just give the Cliff Notes version of it.
Oh, thank you, Jesus, Holy Son of God.
And I'm going to put the results of the Have Your Say poll for episodes 10 and 11 in the comments. So if you look, there'll be links with just a summary of what the Have Your Say poll results were and all the comments. So we'll start with episode 10. So episode 10 was the design challenge. It was where the queens, the eliminated queens left suitcases with materials, and then the queens in the competition had to use those materials to make an outfit. Now this episode, there was no elimination at all because everyone did well. The top two were Jane Don't and Kenya Pleaser. That was the only part that was contentious. Most people thought that it should have been Darlene, Jane, or Nene in the top, so not Kenya. But they also asked the question of who should go home tonight and why, and they all said Discord Adams. And I think that was mainly because they think she sort of cheated because she used the safety pins, which were not actually included in her suitcase. Now, there was a bit more tea to do with this because at Roscoe's, Jane talked about it and said there was maybe a little bit more to do with it as well. So I'll link to that Roscoe's in the description because it was quite interesting. But anyway, no one went home, but the top two, Jane and Kenya, lip-synced to the song Feels Like Another One by Patti LaBelle, and Jane Don't is announced as the winner of the lip sync and therefore the episode. Moving on to episode 11, the main challenge was the roast of Alyssa Edwards. Beast! If it didn't pick it up on the mic, that was a really good tongue pop, so I hope you heard that.
Well,
I love a good roast, both eating them and also the comedy variety, so I love the roast challenge. I thought it was a pretty decent roast, maybe not the best we've ever had, but I did like it. And the winner was announced as Darlene Mitchell, which I think a lot of people did agree with, but other people thought it should have maybe been Mikey Meeks or Jane Don't. But the bottom two were Kenya Pleaser and Juicy Love Dion, which I think pretty much everyone agreed with. So Juicy and Kenya then lip-synced to the song Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler, and Juicy Love Dion is announced as the winner of the lip sync and is therefore safe, so unfortunately Kenya Pleaser was eliminated. Okay, so moving on to episode 12, which is the most recent episode, we find out it is the makeover challenge. Yay! Now I know I am a professional hater at this point. I hate every single challenge, as you always remind me, which is not strictly true. I just hate a lot of them. But this one, I find the makeover challenge can sometimes just be a bit boring and also a bit awkward depending on who the guests are. For this particular one, it was actually members of the queer rodeo, so it was kind of like gay queer cowboys. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a fun take on that theme. Also, these makeover guests, they were shady. They were so fun, but so shady. And actually, when I was watching it with my boyfriend, we both were saying this was a really fun episode because the guests were so nice and they seemed so comfortable on camera. And I think it's because they're part of a rodeo, so they're used to being in front of people, performing, putting on a show. And I think that's what made this episode so nice, was because it had those sorts of people in it. I think in other episodes we've had for makeover challenges, sometimes the people are a bit awkward and they're not used to being on camera or whatever. But this one, I actually really enjoyed it. Hi, this is Matt in the editing room. There was something I meant to mention. Obviously, we all saw that there was some very sad news at the end of the episode that Terry, which was Jane's makeover partner, had unfortunately passed away. So I just wanted to mention that and say, obviously, our thoughts go out to Terry, his family, and everyone. He seemed like such a sweet, sweet person, and I really did love him. So yeah, he seemed like a genuinely lovely person. He will be dearly missed. Okay, so let's get into the actual makeovers themselves, and I'm going to go in order in which they appeared. First first up was Nene Coco and her partner Patsy Coco. I'm sorry, I do love you, Nene, but was not a fan of these outfits. I will say, just to start with a positive, I think the makeup was pretty good and it was very much Nene's style because she often has that, like the long eyelash in the middle with the piece of paper. I only kind of noticed it in the last few weeks that she quite often has that. I think the makeup was good. I just think the outfits are just completely, they don't look alike. I was very much agreeing with the judges where they said they thought the makeover partner looked like a bee. I also kind of thought that until she said butterflies. I just think the outfits, they didn't really go together. There's something that didn't work for me. So personally, I'd have to give it a nay. In the Have Your Say poll, you said 54.9% for nay, 35.5% for just okay, and then 9.6% for yay. Okay, so next up was Mikey Meeks and her partner Morgan Meeks. I really enjoyed this. I will just also say this particular makeover partner said that he used to be a drag queen years and years ago. So he did, I think you could tell he obviously had some experience doing the gig and walking in the heels and all that kind of stuff. So that probably did help. I think what Mikey did really successfully, though, is she didn't overcomplicate it. We know what the judges are looking for, I suppose. It's very inconsistent, but we know what they're looking for. They want outfits that look very similar with just a slightly different cut, different colors that complement each other, or it has to be the same fabric and pattern but just in a slightly different style. So she didn't overcomplicate it. The makeup was good, the hair was good, the outfits, although they're simple, they looked really good. They're definitely in the same family. I would give this a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, interestingly, although yay did come out with 52.7%, just okay still got 36.4%, so it's still quite a lot, and then 10.9% for nay. Next up, we had Juicy Love Dion and her partner Lucy Love Dion. I liked this. I think this is definitely another way you can go with the makeover challenge. Either you go like Mikey with the exact same fabric, or you can have same fabric but different colors. I think that works enough. Maybe there could have been a little bit more kind of one had the other's color somewhere a little bit on it, like a little bit of blue on the yellow and a bit of yellow on the blue. Other than that, though, the fact that it's the same cut, they look really good. You can definitely tell they're in the same family. The makeover partner was so fun. You could tell she was having the time of her life. I really enjoyed this. I would definitely give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, 59.3% said yay, so you agree. And that was actually more than Mikey, which was kind of surprising. 33.1% for just okay, so that's about a third. And then 7.6% for nay. Next up was Jane Don't and her partner Maybe Don't. Now, I'm going to say something a little bit controversial, but I don't like pineapple on pizza. But what I will say is, although I love Jane, I personally was not a huge fan of this makeover. I can see what the judges were saying, that I think maybe it was something like the fabrics, although they were similar in different colors, it was kind of a similar cut. To me, I don't know, there was just something about it that didn't quite give family. I think there is definitely some resemblance. Maybe for me, it's just because the dresses are such different cuts. One is a lot shorter than the other, one's a full-length gown. I think that's what's maybe throwing me off. The hair and the makeup was good, and the feather boa and everything were good, but there was just something about it didn't quite click for me as family resemblance. So I think it was fine, but I probably would give it a just okay. I don't think I could give it a yay personally. In the Have Your Say poll, you were really split on this, interestingly. So just okay came out on top with 47.5, but then almost exactly the same, 45.1% said yay. So you were very split between the two, and then 7.5 for nay. Then penultimately, we have Discord Adams and her partner Harmony Adams. Now, they did talk about this. It's a reference to Clueless. I mean, Clueless has kind of been done to death on Drag Race. In terms of the outfits, I'm a little bit split on this one because I will say of all of the makeover partners, I think actually the makeup was the most on point. That did look exactly like Discord's makeup on someone else, which is the challenge. I can see, though, that maybe the outfits, although there is a similar palette to it, not just the color but the pattern, maybe it's just a little bit too different because, you know, one of them's wearing tights, the other's not, one's got pulled up socks, and I get the hair colors and stuff. I can see they're kind of doing almost like, you know, a baddie and a goodie type storyline, but there was something about it that felt more like Friends rather than Sisters. So I can see why they said they didn't really like it as much. I probably would give this a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, interestingly, 53.8 voted for yay, which is probably not where I would have put it. I would have put it towards just okay. Then it was 33.1% for just okay, and then 13.1% for nay. And finally, we have Darlene Mitchell and her partner Bonnie Mitchell. Obviously, Darlene definitely went down the more comedy, kooky route. We definitely know who these characters are. I've seen these people before. I know people like this, going down the slot machines. They've always got a ciggy in the mouth, cigarette. And, they're always gambling. Definitely I know these sorts of people. These outfits, I will say, are rotted, but in the best possible way. My only slight thing is, although I know they're going for kind of campy and maybe not the best styling, my only slight thing is one of them's wearing bike shorts, the other one's wearing tights. I think it would have been slightly more cohesive if they had both been wearing similar things on the bottom, so both wearing tights or both wearing bike shorts. That was the only bit that did throw me off. Other than that, though, I think it is pretty good and it's quite funny, and you can definitely see that they're, I would say sisters, but more like an older sisters who are aunts, like mother and aunt, that kind of thing as well. I would give it a yay / just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, 56% of you voted for yay, so the majority. But then, weirdly, 24.7 for just okay and 19.3 for nay. So you were quite split between just okay and nay. Maybe because the outfits were just so rotted. So I asked you, whose makeover gets a slay, as in the best makeover, and you voted Darlene Mitchell came out on top with 24%, then just underneath was Mikey with 23.6%, then it was Discord with 21.5%, and then actually Juicy came in fourth with 18.5%, so it was actually pretty split. I think I would have to give it to Mikey just because she didn't overcomplicate it. I know the outfits were very simple, but you can definitely tell they're related. She wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel because, as RuPaul has said,
you ain't got to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is fine, girl. You ain't got to reinvent the wheel. Ain't nobody got to reinvent the wheel. You ain't got to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already reinvented.
So I think it did work as a makeover concept, so I would give it to Mikey. So we find out the winner of the episode is Mikey Meeks. I asked you, do you agree with the winner? You said 64.5% for no, and then 35.5% for yes. So the majority of you did not agree. So then for that over half of you who said no, I said, who do you think should have been the winner instead? You voted Darlene Mitchell, 30.4%. Then it was Discord Adams with 28.2%. Then Juicy Love Dion with 25.1% and 14.4% for Jane. As I've said, I personally do think Mikey deserved it. I do love Darlene's, and it was kooky and different, but to me, maybe there was just some stylistic things that it didn't quite look as polished. Even though it was kooky, it can still look polished. But I did love her probably. I will remember hers more than I remembers Mikey, I guess. But I think Mikey had the better actual makeover. Then we find out the bottom two are Discord Adams and Nene Coco. I asked you, did you agree with the bottom two? Again, 65.6% of you voted no, so the majority, and then 34.4% for yes. So of that over half who said no, I said, who do you think should have been the bottom two? Overwhelmingly, Nene Coco came out on top, but then weirdly, it was Darlene Mitchell that came out next. Now that's really weird because obviously so many of you voted for Darlene to win, but then a lot of you are voting for her to be in the bottom two, so you cannot make up your mind. Personally, I think I do have to agree that although I did like Discord's more than the judges made out, I do think that definitely Nene deserved the bottom, but I think Discord probably would have been the next bottom for me. So Discord and Nene lip sync to the song We Can't Be Friends, brackets, Wait for Love by Ariana Grande, and we find out Nene Coco is announced as the winner of the lip sync, so unfortunately, Discord Adams is eliminated. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, who do you think won the lip sync in your opinion? Perhaps unsurprisingly, 85.7% said Nene and 14.3% for Discord. I agree, I do think Nene was working it a bit more in the song. I will also say, I do think there were a few times where I don't know if it was just the editing, but it looked like Discord maybe didn't know all of the words, so it didn't surprise me that Nene won. Okay, so the last two questions. Question 6 was based on what we've seen so far, who do you want to win the season? Darlene Mitchell came out on top, which I think might be the first time she's come out on top so far. Then it was Mikey Meeks just behind with 29.6%. And then it was Jane Don't third with 25.1%. And then interestingly, the next question was based on what we've seen so far, who do you think will win the season? As has become tradition, Jane Don't came out way on top with 63.8%. Then it was actually Mikey Meeks with 25.1%. Darlene actually only got 3.5%. So it looks like you definitely think Jane will win, but so far more of you want Darlene or Mikey to win. Okay, so let's move on to the comments for this week. We'll start with my Patreon comments. By the way, if you want your comment to be featured as a priority, you can also check out my Patreon. Link will be in the description. You also get access to exclusive videos, exclusive content, the group chat and things like that. Little plug for you right there. Ding! So yeah, go and check out my Patreon. But my Patreon comments, you popped off this week in the Patreon. There was so many comments, maybe the most I've ever had. So I'll go through them kind of quickly because there's quite a lot. So my Patreon Oxymoron said, strange makeover challenge. I agree with almost everything. I don't think Mikey should have won this one. And this was quite a consistent theme, so I'll just go through some of the others. My Patreon Emmy said, makeover judging was always weird, but this time it was bad. I'm gonna sue RuPaul. My Patreon Patty also thought that the judging was all over the place and Michelle doesn't have a clear standards of what she thinks is good or not. I do agree. I do think the makeover challenge, we all know the judging is so inconsistent. It's like sometimes there's too much family resemblance, like the outfits are too matchy. Other times they're not matching enough. I do feel like I've heard someone say this before. I can't remember where I heard it, but I feel like because the makeover challenge comes near the end of the season, it usually is more who do we want to get rid of or who do we want to give a win to because it will look good for like the score sheet. And I feel like that's quite often where the makeover challenge comes in because you can kind of judge it however you want and rig it, maybe some would say. So yeah, I do think that comes into it. My Patreon Deb said it was weird how Rue kept labouring the point about Michelle wanting people to look like twins. I do think that is definitely a part of it because it's almost like they're talking about how much they know Michelle is always going to say it now. So I do also think some of the people maybe made some interesting choices with their outfits, like Nene. I don't think in any world those outfits look like they were related. So you kind of know what the judges are looking for, rightly or wrongly. So those outfits just were never going to match up to that. My Patreon Lady Nidaria said, I miss the old days where they had to make the outfits, but I'm just tired of people bringing matching stuff. So I think that's a fair point. My Patreon Elizabeth Ann made an interesting observation saying, Discord's partner reminded me of Tempest du Jour. I guess I can see that. I'll put a side by side up. I assume you mean in drag, not out of drag, but maybe. My Patreon MJ said, did anyone else groan when Law Roach was on the judges panel? Probably because Law is known to be quite harsh. I did think some of them were kind of a little bit harsh, but again, I feel like maybe they're trying to do it because they're making good TV. There was actually some tea about this, which you'll see in my latest Roscoe's, which I'll link to in the description, because Discord Adams called Law out for being harsh. So yeah, check that out if you haven't already. My Patreon David said, I guess the key to winning is dressing up like Michelle, obviously saying Mikey looked like Michelle, and also saying that Discord deserved better. I agree with Discord being in the bottom two personally, but I don't think she was anywhere near as bad as they were making out. My Patreon Nikki said, I feel gaslit by some of the judging this season. I know I'm a Discord apologist, but are we really going to pretend they don't look exactly the same in different colors? I agree that Discord, as I said, had the best makeup, but I do think the outfits weren't maybe as family resemblancy, in my opinion, as some of the others. And my Patreon Max said, I'm proud of Darlene. I agree. I love that Darlene's had such a really interesting trajectory. I feel like she's kind of just shot up. Everyone really loves her. She's always been so lovable. And I do think she's actually a contender now to not maybe win, because I think Jane's got it in the bag, but I do think that Darlene may win kind of fan favorite, if you want to call it that, or at least Miss Congeniality. Okay, moving on to the Have Your Say poll comments. Again, a common theme throughout pretty much all of them were just how inconsistent the judging is. Someone said, I don't know why family resemblance seems to mean the same exact look. It's boring seeing the same outfit on both partners. I somewhat agree, but I think a different cut and a different style or something can be interesting, but yeah, I agree. Maybe some of them are a bit too matchy, but then if you go too far away from it, it can also just be that they don't look like family anymore. And again, someone said, inconsistent judging as usual. I thought Discord and her partner looked like sisters with the exact makeup. Rigor Morris, I've already kind of said my piece on that. And then someone else also said Discord and Harmony looked identical. That part I will agree with. If it was just to do with the face, I would agree that Discord would have been very high, but I don't think that's the only thing to take into consideration. But let me know in the comments what you think. What part of the makeover do you think is the most important? Is it the face, like looking the most like a family member with the makeup style, or are the outfits and the presentation also part of it? Also, thank you so much to all the lovely positive comments that you left in this poll, but also the other previous polls. Some of you were saying things like, hope you get well soon. That was when I was sick, and hope your laptop gets repaired soon. Honestly, these comments are so lovely, and I love seeing the comments saying that you're enjoying the videos. I'm so glad to hear that you like these videos. I love doing them. So honestly, thank you all so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. Okay, finally, I'm going to talk about a little bit of drama unrelated to season 18 to do with Jorgeous getting accused of disrespecting her fans and cancelling shows. So, as we know, Jorgeous and Mistress Isabel Brooks both appeared on All Stars 10, and they already had an existing friendship. Back in September 2025, Jorgeous and Mistress announced that they would be going on tour together in Australia called Clock That Tea. The tour had 5 dates in Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide and Perth. However, several months later in February 2026, Jorgeous posted an Instagram story which said, "I cannot believe I'm missing Gaga because I have to go to Australia. Over it." And there was another Instagram story which said, "Learning lesson after this, don't say yes to everything." This got talked about a lot on social media, with a lot of fans criticising Jorgeous, saying that she was being really disrespectful to her fans, and that it also made her sound ungrateful for having opportunities that a lot of other queens would love to have. Then, on March the 11th, which was a week or two after Jorgeous had posted these Instagram stories, ITD Events, which is the events company that was running the tour, announced that the gigs in Adelaide and Perth had been cancelled, but the other tour dates were still going ahead. Someone on Reddit shared a screenshot of an email they got from ITD Events which said, "Due to some unexpected personal circumstances, Jorgeous needs to return to the US on Monday. Because this tour is a dynamic duo moment and chaos is always better shared, Mistress Isabel Brooks will also be heading back to the States with her. Unfortunately, this does mean the Perth and Adelaide shows will no longer be available to go ahead." They also added that people who had tickets for the cancelled gigs would automatically get a refund. This news then spread fast, and people said that Jorgeous must have really cancelled those gigs because she wanted to go back to the US to see Lady Gaga's concert. People also looked at the timeline of Lady Gaga's concert dates and theorised that the dates lined up and matched when Jorgeous would have cancelled to go back so that she could see the concert. Jorgeous then got a lot of backlash because of this online, with people saying how disrespectful and unprofessional it is to cancel gigs which had been booked months in advance and people had paid for just because she wanted to see Lady Gaga in concert. Jorgeous then seemed to lean into the drama and tweeted shortly after saying, "What should I wear to the Gaga concert?" And although some people joked about it in the comments, there were also people calling Jorgeous out for being unprofessional. A Twitter user then posted the screenshots of this situation and said, "Jorgeous from RuPaul's Drag Race cancelled her Australian tour dates in order to attend Lady Gaga's Mayhem Ball with the crying emoji." Jorgeous then replied to this tweet and said, "Y'all are sick. I already missed the concert that my older brother was gonna take me to, brackets Austin. All y'all see online are goofy posts, but I am actually human and have personal things that go on in my life as well." I did also see that the next day, someone on the RPDR drama subreddit posted a screenshot of an email they had sent to ITD Events on the 5th of March, so this was before the gigs were cancelled. They had asked if the tour dates were still going ahead before purchasing tickets because they had seen Jorgeous's tweets. And the response from ITD Events said, "The tour is definitely going ahead as planned. We've spoken directly with Jorgeous and she is very much looking forward to coming down under for the shows. As you probably know, sometimes things online get a little dramatic, especially when it comes to drag queens and social media, but we can confirm that the tour is moving forward and the cast are excited for it." However, as we know, the last 2 tour dates were in fact cancelled, so this person on Reddit said that they're glad that they did not end up buying a ticket. But what is interesting is that this email would seem to show that the events company themselves also did not know that Jorgeous was going to cancel until the last minute, because this email was sent a week or so before the cancellation. It should be noted as well that based on what Jorgeous said in her tweet, she seems to be implying that there were other personal reasons as to why she had to pull out of the last 2 tour dates, and there hasn't been any official confirmation to say otherwise, so it can't be said for sure what the exact reason was for the cancellations, and a lot of this is just conjecture, so please bear that in mind. And as I always say in my videos, please do not send hate to any of the queens involved and just consume this type of content responsibly. So there you go, there was the Have Your Say for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18, episodes 10, 11 and 12. Let me know what you thought of the makeover challenge, and do you agree that the makeover challenge is really inconsistent and it's just whatever they want to do to get rid of someone? Or do you think that family resemblance is actually important? I'd also like to give a special shout out to my newest Patreon member, Bella Boop, who joined in the You're a Winner Baby tier. Bella Boop, you are a winner baby. If you'd like to get your comments featured in my Have Your Say poll, early access to my videos, exclusive content that's not on YouTube, as well as many other benefits, please consider checking out my Patreon. It's a cheap way of supporting the channel and it really does make a huge difference, and I'll link to that in the description. And I would like to say thank you so much to all of my amazing Patreon members. You are incredible. Your support blows me away. I love speaking to you in the Have Your Say poll, in the group chat. Honestly, your support does mean so much. So as Tatiana would say, thank you. Please make sure you like and comment on this video because it does help to boost it in the algorithm and promote it to more people. And make sure you smash that subscribe button because subscribing is the most important thing you can do and it really does help boost the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the future for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. Thank you so much. Bye.